Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing to crash through this major area of support and is now just about to test this next important Fibonacci level of support, as we are now seeing a rare signal flash on the Bitcoin price chart that we have not seen in almost 9 months. So this is something that we need to pay attention to, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is continuing to break through this very important Fibonacci level of support on its way towards much lower price targets, while the price of XRP is also continuing the massive crash on the larger timeframes. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and currently the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, as I've been saying every day for close to a week now. Obviously, close to a week ago, this recently flipped back into the red for the first time in many years, indicating the end of this larger bullish trend and quite possibly a larger correction, or possibly a bear market. Not necessarily a bear market, but at least a lot more bearish price action still likely going to happen over the coming months. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, obviously this chart in particular has already been warning about all of this bearish price action before it happened, as I warned about at the highs. Obviously all the way back up here when Bitcoin was at around 115k, I warned about the coming pullback coming very soon. Expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, most likely pulling back in the price of Bitcoin over the coming weeks or months as a very likely scenario, is what I said back then. And now that that is perfectly starting to play out, obviously continue to expect this to play out. It is still currently playing out. It is still active on the Bitcoin price chart. Don't expect a massive reversal right now. And once again, that's the same thing that I've been saying every day for over a month. So ultimately, continue to expect this to continue to play out as expected. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is just about to hit the next price target, the next major point of support to watch out for, now that we've obviously broken well below the previous area of support. So once again, if you've been watching my videos recently here on the channel, I said the moment we break below around 92, 93k, below this area of support right here, in that situation, expect to move down towards roughly 85 to 86,000 as the next price target, the next point of support. And a lot of people did not believe me when I was calling for 85 to 86,000 coming very soon, the moment we broke below around 93,000, but obviously now that has played out. And so hopefully some of you that have been watching my recent videos here on the channel took this shorts position. Once again, not financial advice, but I did mention a trading strategy over the last few days to short Bitcoin right here. I said the moment we break below around 92,000, for example, and especially if we come back into this area to retest the area, and especially if we fail to break out back above 93 to 94k and we start rejecting from this area, I said in that situation that will make for a perfect entry into a short position to essentially short Bitcoin, to bet on the next pullback coming very soon. Once again, not financial advice. Legally, I cannot give financial advice, but that was just an example of a trading strategy, which if you followed a similar trading strategy, you would have just made some very easy profits, easy, massive profits in the market, while everyone else out there is losing money. And so honestly, if you want to make some easy money in the market right now, all you need to do is just understand the trends that we are in and do not fight the trend. I'd say a lot of people out there in the comment section, on social media, on other YouTube channels, talking about how this is the moment now that we're finally bottoming out. This is the moment we're finally bottoming out. Get ready for the massive reversal. A lot of people trying to call for the change of the trend. But if you're doing that, it's quite likely that you've been wrecked time and time again. If you simply just go with the trend, then you can make money while the trend continues to play out. And obviously the trend is clearly bearish. So if you're just simply going with the trend, looking for short position opportunities, you can be making easy money in the market right now. Because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that you have to either just be a bull or a bear, either a perma bull, perma bear. So obviously the bulls love this time in the market right here. The bears love this time in the market right here. But if you're adaptable to the market, if you're bullish during the bullish trends, and then if you start flipping bearish as we're starting to form a bearish trend, you can make money in both directions. You can be profitable during all of this price action right here if you adapt to the trend. And once again, every day here on the channel for around a month, I've been talking about this bearish trend continuing to play out. And so with that explained, of course, looking at other support and resistance levels, obviously, if we were to see any decent bounce, which I don't really expect a decent bounce, but if we see any decent bounce, the next significant point of resistance to watch out for is in between roughly 92 to 94,000. And as for support, once again, as I just said earlier, and as I've been saying for multiple days since all the way back up here, the next major point of support to watch out for is at roughly 85 to 86,000, which we're just about to run into right now as of recording this video. So it's possible we could see some sort of bounce at roughly 85 to 86,000, but if we actually break below 85,000, especially with a daily candle close below that level, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, then in that situation, it could be very likely it would drop below 80,000. That is right. I would expect to move down towards roughly 75 to 77,000 as the next area of support to watch out for if we first confirm a break below 85,000. Once again, as of recording this video, that's not yet happened. So the immediate support to watch out for, at least as of right now, is at roughly 85 to 86,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, what we can see right now is the price of Bitcoin obviously dumping, and this is helping to pull the RSI towards the downside. And the daily Bitcoin RSI is now entering well into oversold for the first time in almost 9 months, since around the end of February is the last time we saw an oversold signal confirm in the daily Bitcoin RSI. So from the end of February all the way up until now, we have not been oversold until basically right now. We've just hit oversold again in the daily Bitcoin RSI. And if we're looking at what actually happened last time this happened, last time this signal confirmed on the Bitcoin price chart on the daily time frame, what came next after first we saw that dump obviously was a bit of a short-term bounce, and then a continuation of the bearish trend or the dump later on. And we also ended up forming a bit of a bullish divergence, as we could see. So ultimately, later on in the coming days or weeks, we still went lower in the price of Bitcoin a couple of times here. But while the price was making these new lower lows, we were forming higher lows in the RSI, forming a larger bullish divergence. And then roughly around a couple of months later, obviously this was back at the end of February, and it was around mid-April where we finally started to bottom out and see a much larger recovery in the price of Bitcoin. And now obviously it's very unlikely we'll see the exact same outcome as what we saw last time, but what I do expect for the price of Bitcoin in the coming days is for the price to form some sort of local low, not necessarily at this price. It's possible we could go a little bit lower first and then see some sort of bounce, but at some point in the next couple of days, I'd say almost certainly, as always, no guarantees, but very likely within the next 2 to 3 days, maybe even within the next 1 day, but I'd say within the next couple of days, it is quite likely we'll start to see some sort of little bounce due to this very oversold signal now flashing on the daily Bitcoin RSI. And so what this means, not financial advice, but as I already explained over the last few days, I said if we enter a short position here at roughly 93,000, that'll be the entry for a short position, and I'd look to take profits at close to 86,000, which we're just about now hitting as of recording this video. In fact, we pretty much just hit 86,000 on some exchanges, hit slightly below 86,000 already as of recording the video. And so with the price hitting 86,000 at the same time as this oversold signal on the daily Bitcoin RSI, this is not necessarily a buy signal. I certainly, at least in my position, not financial advice, I certainly would not be opening a long position based on these signals. But if I was in a short position, I would potentially be taking some profits off the table out of a short position, not necessarily closing the entire trade, but basically just taking some profits out of a short could be a decent strategy. Once again, not financial advice, but based on these signals, it's possible that within the next couple of days, we could start to see a slight little bounce. Remember, this does not necessarily mean the end of the bearish trend. It's possible, in fact, quite likely we'll go lower later on at some point, but just in the short term, within the next few days, start to expect some sort of bounce, not necessarily from this exact moment, but some sort of bounce within the next couple of days is quite likely. And if that bounce starts to form within the next 1 day or so, then it's likely we could form a new bullish divergence in the shorter term here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. Obviously, the trend, momentum, price structure all currently bearish, but we are obviously forming lower lows in the price in the candle closes, while at least for now, the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI is still forming higher lows. So if we see some sort of bounce sometime soon in the price, then this will start to potentially confirm a new bullish divergence on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. And of course, the last time we confirmed a bullish divergence here in the short term, we saw just a slight little bullish relief over the next few days. Once again, this is only a short-term signal. Do not be fooled by short-term price action. The bigger picture is still looking very bearish. If we're talking about the next multiple weeks or months, still looking more bearish than bullish, still looking very weak on the larger time frames. But just the short-term situation for the next few days or so, it's possible we could start some sort of little bounce within the next few days, not necessarily right now, but the next couple of days, expect some sort of bounce to start. And then once again, it's possible that that could help to confirm the short-term bullish divergence, which can result in just a slight little relief. Basically, a bit of a short-term break from the bearish trend, but not necessarily the end of the bearish trend. And so those are my expectations. Those are my predictions for the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term and the mid to longer term for the price of Bitcoin, and the exact levels and exact signals to pay attention to moving forward. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that obviously already over the last 1 to 2 days, we've wiped out this exact level of liquidity that I've been targeting at roughly 88,000. We've now wiped that out as expected, and we're moving towards the next level of liquidity that is building below the price of Bitcoin at close to 83,000. Around 83.3k approximately is the next price target based on this chart right here. But remember, between the current price as of recording this video and that 83k price target, we do have this potential area of support here at roughly 85 to 86,000, which means it's possible we could see some sort of bounce around here before potentially hitting that liquidity later on. And so this is definitely the time in the market to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of the next major trading opportunity, which I will be sharing here on the channel as soon as it happens, just like the trading opportunity, the short position from 93,000 to 86,000. And of course, if you use Pinex, the link below the video to Pinex, in fact, the first link below the video will take you to this page right here. If you're using that link to make your account, you can take advantage of some major bonuses that are only available using that link, and only for the next 5 to 6 days or so. So for example, if you simply just make an account using the link, make a deposit as little as $100, you get a $200 deposit bonus. If you deposit $1,000, you get a $600 bonus. All the way up towards these larger amounts, you can get up to 40,000 USDT as a bonus, basically money from the exchange deposited into your Pinex account just by making a deposit using that link below the video to Pinex. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this using that first link below the video. And then if you want to, you can go ahead to use that deposit bonus from the exchange, use the exchange's money to actually fund these Bitcoin trades right here if you want to. As always, not financial advice, but if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of this using that first link below the video. But if you want a no KYC exchange to long or short Bitcoin, ideally during a bearish trend, shorting Bitcoin, not financial advice, but if you want another exchange out there, for that I'll also use 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below the video, and it'll be the second link below the video, which will take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of some massive bonuses that are only available using that link. For example, just by depositing and trading crypto, you can get up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins just by depositing and trading crypto. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, just by simply making an account, takes 30 seconds to do this using that link below the video, you can get a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit, and essentially free money from the exchange deposited into your account to start with just by making an account using that link. But unfortunately, if you don't use the link below the video to actually make your 2bit account, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and as expected, the Bitcoin dominance is continuing the slight pullback here in the short term. So basically, I'm going to say the same thing again in this video as I've been saying every day for a week now. Expect a slight little pullback moving forward as a very likely scenario moving forward in the Bitcoin dominance. So obviously, this is perfectly playing out as predicted all the way back up here, and will likely continue a little bit further. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum Ethereum on the daily time frame. Right now, the price of ETH is obviously following Bitcoin with that break towards the downside. Now, Ethereum is also breaking below a key Fibonacci level, which was sitting at roughly 3050. So in between around 3,000 to 3.1k was really the area of support that I've been watching over the last few weeks. In fact, for close to a month, this has been acting as major support. But obviously, now the price of ETH is breaking well below 3,000, potentially on our way towards the next area of support, which is sitting in between around 2.6k to 2.7k. But it is worth pointing out that we have previous resistance here at roughly 2.8k, which could possibly flip into new support. So basically expect a bit of support at around 2.8k, but a lot of support at closer towards around 2.6k. And for the Ethereum bulls out there, you would want to hope that the price actually holds these points of support, because for example, if the price of ETH fails to hold at, let's just say 2.6k, if we start breaking below 2600, it is quite likely the price will drop all the way down here towards the golden pocket, sitting in between around 2160 to 2250, so roughly 2.2k as another major price target towards the downside. But once again, before we can hit those price targets, we have these other points of support like just above 2.6k and around 2.8k to watch out for right now. And in case we see any sort of decent bounce, now I don't expect a massive bounce in the price, maybe just slight little bounces here and there, kind of like what we saw back here, for example. But if we were to see some sort of bounce in the short term, the next major point of resistance to watch out for is obviously this previous support flipping into new resistance in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1k. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, obviously right now we're seeing a breakdown in the price and the RSI, with the RSI potentially now breaking into lower lows below the previous low, which means we have lower lows in the RSI, lower lows in the price. So there's obviously no divergence even forming, let alone confirming. Obviously, as I made clear over the last few days, even though we were possibly forming a new bullish divergence, it did not really confirm at all. We were waiting for more confirmation to be more confident in the bullish divergence actually playing out. So obviously this never even confirmed to begin with, but now even the formation phase, the possibility of this forming is now effectively over. But obviously this also now means that the daily Ethereum RSI, as of recording this video, is dipping into oversold for the first time since basically the 4th of November, this previous flash crash right here. And what actually came after that previous oversold signal was a little bit of a short-term bounce over the next few days for close to a week. Once again, this is not a bottom signal by itself, but it does mean that we could see some sort of little relief at some point within the next few days, not necessarily this exact moment right now, but within the next, let's just say 1 or 2 days, it's quite likely we will start to see some sort of slight little bounce. Don't expect a massive reversal or anything, but some sort of just break or a relief from all of the bearish price action is likely going to begin within the next few days here in the short term, and then that could likely last for maybe just a few days, maybe a week, that sort of time frame, because obviously we're still very much within a larger bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, it's a kind of similar situation for Solana. Obviously right now Solana is obviously still within a bearish trend, forming lower highs, lower lows, bearish price structure with bearish momentum. And of course, the recent gain to that bearish price structure, the recent addition to the bearish price structure, was this break below this previous area of support and flipping that support into new resistance with multiple retests and rejections from that area. And of course, that area that I'm talking about was in between around 143 to 147. So it was originally support. We broke below the area, retested the area, and seen multiple rejections once again from that area. So this is now obviously acting as resistance in between 143 to 147. And as for support to watch out for, expect a decent amount of support in between roughly 124 to 127. And so in the immediate short term, the price is kind of within a bit of a sideways price range between this support and this resistance, but obviously the larger trend still currently bearish. So if at some stage we ultimately continue the bearish trend with another break towards the downside, if that actually confirms, if we confirm say a daily or a 2-day candle close below $124, especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation it's quite likely we could drop down towards close to $100, around $100 to $105 as the next area of support to watch out for if we first break below 124 to 127. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, obviously right now the price of XRP is continuing the massive multi-month pullback on the weekly time frame ultimately playing out this significant bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. And obviously the last bearish divergence that we saw on the weekly time frame before this one, something similar to this size, was all the way back here at the end of 2020 entering into early 2021, and what came next was a massive multi-month pullback in the price, and then ultimately leading into this huge bear market that played out for, in fact, multiple years. And so hopefully as many of you as possible watched my videos a couple of months ago when I warned about all of this playing out around early August, end of July, early August, when the price was just around all-time highs, still well above $3. I was warning about this massive multi-month significant pullback coming soon as a very likely scenario, and some people out there laughed at me when I was talking about $2, for example, as a price target. Massive bearish price action coming soon. A lot of people out there did not believe that that was going to happen. Some people out there hopefully took that warning and maybe took some profits from their crypto holdings, maybe shorted crypto, either way taking advantage of that prediction. So obviously right now that has been playing out as predicted many months ago. You can even watch my videos back then. They are all still public on the channel, but right now this is still playing out. I continue to predict this to continue to play out moving forward. Overall in the larger time frames, we're looking very weak, very bearish. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart right now, as I've recorded in the video, obviously the price and the RSI are seeing breaks towards the downside. So first of all, the RSI is of course starting to form now a lower low below the previous low, which means we don't even have the possibility of forming a bullish divergence anymore, at least when we're talking about these lows right here. It's possible if we're talking about, for example, the previous low all the way back down here, we could form a larger bullish divergence. But right now, considering we're seeing a breakdown in the RSI, basically don't really even look at this as a bullish divergence forming, let alone confirming. Obviously already over the last few days, I said this is not confirmed at all. It was just possibly forming, something to watch out for in case it confirms. But right now that we're seeing a breakdown in the RSI, it's not even forming anymore. And of course, we're also seeing a breakdown in the price below this point of support, which was sitting at roughly $2.05. And in fact, as of recording this video, we're at almost exactly $2. So it's possible, based on $2 being a psychological level, it's possible we could find some support at give or take $2. So this is really the last chance for the price of XRP in the short term to avoid potentially something much worse. Because obviously, if we hold $2 to $2.05 as an area of support, it's possible that if Bitcoin starts to see some sort of slight little bounce within the next few days, then it's possible that, of course, XRP could see a slight little bounce within the next few days. But if the price starts breaking below $2, especially with a daily candle close below $2, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, in that situation, it's likely we'll drop down towards roughly $1.80 as the next price target based on this previous low back down here. And if we break below $1.80 in that situation, expect to move down towards $1.60. So yes, we have much lower price targets for the price of XRP, which are honestly quite likely. Remember, I warned about $2 since all the way back up here at $3.30. In fact, at almost the all-time high, I've warned about $2 coming very soon over the next few months. And so now that that has played out as predicted, expect to move down towards around $1.80 to $1.60 if we first confirm this break below $2, and especially if we fail to get back above $2. So as I just said earlier, this is really the last chance for the price of XRP to avoid the next major pullback. But overall, the larger trend is still clearly bearish. So even if we do see a bit of a bounce in the short term, that's not necessarily the end of this larger bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a kind of similar situation for Chainlink. In fact, right now, obviously, we're still within the bearish trends, the bearish price structure, forming lower highs and lower lows, clearly having bearish momentum for multiple months now. But we have a possible bullish divergence forming. This is not even yet invalidated the formation phase, but obviously also not currently confirmed. I want to make that clear, as I've already been saying over the last few days. This is not confirmed. It's just something that's possibly forming and might confirm at some stage, but obviously not confirmed right now. But if we continue a little bit more bearish price action, this will drag the RSI further towards the downside. And if the RSI RSI starts breaking below these previous lows, then that will completely invalidate even the formation phase, the possibility of this forming if we see lower lows in the RSI. And so at least for now, for the price of Chainlink, for this bullish divergence, this is really the last chance. If we fail to see some sort of slight bounce very, very soon, that's quite likely it will form a lower low in the RSI, completely getting rid of the chance of this currently forming. So overall, obviously, don't be relying on this bullish divergence, because even if it does confirm, as I've said over the last few days, even if it does confirm, maybe it plays out in the form of just a slight little relief, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, but a bullish divergence is not always the end of the bearish trend. So it's possible that we could see a bit of a break like this and then the continuation of the bearish trend, but that is if it confirms. Once again, it's not confirmed right now, so overall we're still just simply looking bearish. But as for support and resistance to watch out for, obviously expect resistance based on this previous Fibonacci level sitting at around 1330 to 1350, acting as a point of resistance in case we see any little bounce here. And as for support, we're running into these previous lows, which are sitting at roughly $12.80 to $13, so especially around $12.90 give or take. Expect potentially some short-term support around here, but if that breaks, if we break below $12.80, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it's quite likely we'll see a move down towards around $10.90 to $11.50. So at roughly $11 into the $11 range will be the next price target, the next area of support to watch out for, if we first confirm the break below around $12.80 to $12.90. But remember, as I've been saying throughout the video and many videos here on the channel, if you simply understand and recognize the trends that we are in and trade with the trend rather than trying to fight against the trend, you can be making easy profits in the market right now by looking for short positions. The moment we see a bit of a bounce or retesting a key level, if we start to reject or if we break below a key point of support, for example, not financial advice, but those are all short position opportunities, entry points into a short position to trade the next leg towards the downside, ultimately continuing these bearish trends, not just for Chainlink, but pretty much all of these crypto assets obviously trending in the bearish direction. So right now, those are the trading strategies that are making money, obviously looking for short positions, the opposite to obviously during a bullish trend, looking to buy the dip or looking for long positions, breakout opportunities. Right now, it's the opposite. We're in a bearish trend. We need to be looking for short position opportunities, not financial advice, but that's simply what is profitable right now. And once again, if you want to be taking any of these trades to continue to profit in this current market that we are in, check out the links below the video to those exchanges to take advantage of those major bonuses that are only available using those links to those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how you can trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.